Hello, everyone. My name is Carl, and today I will be talking about 1-2 Switch. This was the second launch title Nintendo published for the Switch, alongside The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It was released on March 3rd, 2017, and it kind of served as the Wii Sports did for the Wii, or the Nintendo Land did for the Wii U, where it was a game mostly centered around showing off the hardware and what the Switch was capable of. It's made for two players at a time, typically, each with a single Joy-Con. And the gimmick was you don't look at the screen, rather, you look at your opponent. It has a manufacturer's standard retail price of $59.99. Jesus. And it is rated E10 plus for mild violence. Like I said before, when you start up the game, uh, 1-2 Switch says 1-2 Switch is all about looking each other in the eye as you play. It's a game that's just split into a bunch of various mini games that involve two players, one with each Joy-Con, looking at each other. Instead of the screen, you're more listening to auditory cues that are meant to be easily understandable, even for those who are not familiar with video games. My experience going in, I thought it looked mildly cool. I saw the trailers. I wanted to go get it. Obviously, this is the first one in the franchise of 1-2 Switch. I must say, I thought it was a little ridiculous that Nintendo didn't package it in with the Switch and that it was $60, but I got it nonetheless, just to kind of see what's what and to say that I got it. So I'm gonna start off with reviewing the gameplay like I usually do, but I'm going to split off from my usual style and instead break this down into each one of the 28 mini games. So I'll talk about each mini game, what happens in the mini game, and whether I think it's good, needs improvement, or if it's bad. And what constitutes good is if it is a understandable and competitive minigame. So it's easy to understand and know what you're supposed to do, and it's competitive. So you can easily connect what you're doing with positive results. So there are some games where it tells you to dance and you don't know exactly how it wants you to dance. That is not good because you don't know what the heck the game wants from you. So, to start out, the first game is called Telephone. Um, so how that works is you set your telephone, quote, on a flat surface, and then when the phone rings, it'll buzz. You pick it up and say hello, and then whichever player picks it up, puts it up to their face and says hello first is a winner. Really simple game. Um, I don't think it can actually tell when you say hello. It doesn't have a microphone on it. I don't think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a simple game. It's good. It's just whoever picks it up puts it up to the top of their head first wins. Second one is called Ball Count. This one's really cool. Imagine if you're holding a box full of marbles, and someone says, "Shake the box and tell me how many marbles are inside." That's Ball Count, but it uses the HD rumble inside the Joy-Con to make it seem like there are actual marbles rolling around in your box, so to speak, and it actually feels like it. There are just a few little rotors in there, spinning around and vibrating, but it feels like you're actually rolling around marbles in there. So that's really cool. You roll around the marbles, you secretly put in your your tally, and that's important. It's secret. You press the button, and then you put it down, and then hope you get closer than your opponent. So that's a good game. Third is Zen. That is good as well. It's a balance game. So they have a yoga pose. Two people have to hold the yoga pose, and whoever is shakier, it'll ding and then buzz, and then you're out, and the other person wins. I mean, you do have to have some real life refereeing to make sure that they're like holding the actual pose and not just setting their Joy-Con down on the table and walking away. But that's a good game because considering if you're playing it as a party game, you should have people refereeing to make sure no cheating's happening. Treasure chest, you play as like a pirate, and your Joy-Con is a treasure chest that's wrapped up in a chain. And so you can see on screen the chain unraveling. So you have to move your Joy-Con around, and it's very responsive to unwrap the chain. So that one's good. Milk, what you have to do is use the SL and SR, and you press um, SR for the top one first, and then the bottom one as if you're milking a cow. And it gives you pretty good feedback of like how much milk you're actually squirting out of the udder. So optimally, you press L on the or the top one at the start. You pull down, and then you press the second one as you pull down. And the better you do, the more milk you get. So it's good. It ties good performance with good results. Safe crack, that's a cool one where you have a like a safe dial, and you're turning it, and if once you hit the right place, it'll go, and then you can feel it vibrate and hear it a bit, and then if you hold it in that place, it'll go click, and then you find the next place, and then you hold it and go click, and the next place click, and whoever finds three and clicks them first opens the safe and wins. And the cool thing is, the faster you move, the lighter the click will be. So it's kind of like you want to move fast because you want to cover more area, but if you move too quickly, then you'll completely miss it. So that's pretty good. Quick draw. This is the one that they advertised, all over. You start out with your holding your Joy-Con down as if it's a holder. You wait, and then when he'll say ready, steady, and when he says fire, you point your Joy-Con at the opponent and pull the trigger. If you fire early, you lose, and whoever points the Joy-Con and pulls the trigger, the ZL/ZR button, wins. And the cool thing is, it keeps track of the position of your gun. So if you press the trigger here and then point your gun, it will show you afterwards you shot the dirt. So whoever pulls the trigger and points it at their opponent first, points their opponent and then pulls the trigger first, wins. Um, Samurai training, that's where one person holds their Joy-Con like this, and the other person holds it like they're holding a katana, and then the katana guy swings it, and the other person has to catch it at the right time, and you like try to fake out your opponent. But it's kind of hard to tell just when the system will register a swing or not. And it's the first person to get hit loses. So if you go first, you have the advantage because you can potentially hit your opponent and they have no rebuttal at all. So that one's iffy. It could be fixed, but yeah. Sneaky dice. This one's bad. With sneaky dice, the two players take their Joy-Con and they put it on the table and they shake it as if they had a dice with, or a cup with dice underneath. And your Joy-Con will vibrate to tell you the score of the other person. So you're supposed to like try to persuade your person to like re-roll, but it just ends up people just don't listen to each other and shake and then press OK and then that's it. Also, it'll tell you how many pips, how many dots the other person has, but if they get like doubles, they'll get extra points and stuff like that. So it's just not good. I mean, maybe there's a good game in there somewhere, but it's not. Signal flags. It's a game where you take your Joy-Con, you point it where they tell you to point it, and then part of the way through, if I do remember correctly, they will throw a twist in there where, like, if you hear the male voice, point it the direction that he says, but if you see the female voice, point it in the direction opposite to what she says. So that's pretty cool. That's a good game. There's Soda Shake. This one's meant to be played with any amount of people, and it's where the Joy-Con is like a soda bottle, and if first person shakes it up, and then it'll start vibrating to like signify that like it's a soda bottle that's been shaken up, and you pass it on to the next person, and they shake it a bit, and then people you go down, you hand it off to people, and then whoever shakes it and then it pops loses. But it never specifies like you have to shake it a little if you have it or like what, and it's just kind of random crud. I don't really know. It's iffy. It could be good, but it needed more direction, right? Needs improvement. Shave is bad. I'm sorry. There's like it's a game where you have to shave all of your your beard with a shaver, but like there's no way to know where you're going, and the response of like move it here and the thing goes here, like it doesn't work. I don't know why. I don't know what it wants. It's not good at all. Sorry. Joy-Con rotation is an interesting one where you put your Joy-Con flat on a table and then you have to pick it up and rotate it, and you try to rotate it the biggest angle. But if you tilt your Joy-Con in any direction, it'll go ding, 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 and you'll lose your turn. And so each person has 3 turns to rotate it as much as possible, and whoever rotates it more wins. Um, this is good in theory, but the problem is if you go second, you know exactly what you need to do, how much you need to win. So you might as well go for it, even if you know it's more of a risk. So they would need some way to balance that out. Table tennis. It's a game where one person swings and starts the volley, and you can hear the ping pong ball volleying. And if you press one button, it'll do a slam, and if you press another button, it'll do a lob. So you have to listen to the joy or the ball and whether it goes up or down. So they lob it or smash it, and then you have to return it at the appropriate time. That's fine. It's hard to agree with the computer. It's hard to tell what the computer wants, and things come at you faster than yeah. Usually it just devolves into rapid swinging and hoping you get it. Um, Baby is the next one. Baby's a weird one. Uh, it's like you have to put both Joy-Con on the Switch, and so it's single player only. But you like rockabye the baby, and then you set it down in like the crib, and then if it stays quiet and doesn't cry, then you get your time entered in. But it's one player, and that's kind of it's 1-2 switch, not one switch. That's yeah. I don't know why. It's like good in theory and practice, but like why have a one player game in this? What? Yeah. Anyway, fake draw is the next one, exactly the same as quick draw, except you will throw in different words that begin with F. This is E10 plus, remember, so not that F word. And that would have been good, except he said 5 one time, and all the other words had different sounds after the F. Fromage, for, so you can tell he's gonna say F every time, so you can't draw when he says F, the F sound, but you should be able to draw as soon as you hear him say fi, fi. But then if you're saying 5, then you have to wait. But because there's only a few words that have an I, you're faced with a choice. If you hear him say fi, do you just go for it and hope you're right? Or do you stay and hope you're right? So that's iffy. If 5 wasn't a word, then he'd be fine. Um, Baseball. It's similar to table tennis, where there's one pitcher, they pick what type of pitch they want, a lob or a fastball or a normal one, and the other person has to swing it. And depending on how, um, like, well their timing is, they'll get doubles and home runs and whatever, and they'll get points based off of that. You know how baseball, based off the baseball rules. That's also iffy. It's hard to tell. You know, I just kind of randomly throw a pitch and hope they don't hit it. Eating contest. This one's cool because it takes advantage of the IR camera, which can sense like physical, like 3D depth and whatnot because of how infrared bounces back. So what you have to do is it's an eating contest where you have to open your mouth as wide as possible and then shut it as quickly as possible. So just and the wider you open your mouth, the bigger the bites you take, and the screen shows you the sandwich you're eating. And then the faster you bite, of course, the more bites you take. So you're trying to balance opening it as wide as possible and then trying to find that sweet spot in there. And then you pass it off to the second person, and then they eat, and then you compare scores. That's good. That's pretty cool. I like how to use the IR camera. Beach flag. You literally take your Joy-Con and you run, and when you hear it vibrate, you hold it up like you're running on the beach and you grab the flag and hold it up, and then the first person to hold it up gets like wins. That's good. That's a simple game. Wizard stinks. It's like, it's like the Harry Potter and Voldemort, Expelliarmus, Avada Kedavra. Like they're pushing against each other. You enter into one of those with a other wizard, but like you have to like thrust your wand to like push the center bead towards them. But then if they thrust their wand right after you thrust your wand, then it like is a rebuttal. But then it just ends up you guys are just freaking doing this, and I don't know. Maybe there's some strategy that I haven't figured out where it actually makes sense. It's not. It's bad. People just freaking. Anyway, sword fight, a similar problem where people just don't know how to do it. It's an interesting thing of if you hold ZL or ZR, you will enter block mode. Um, so you hold your sword, if you will, either horizontally or vertically. And then if you're not holding it, you can swing horizontally or vertically to try to strike the other person. And whoever, I believe it's the first person to get a hit wins. Where if you swing horizontally, like the other person has to be blocking perpendicularly to your swing. So if you swing horizontally, they have to be blocking vertically. Swing horizontally, they have to be blocking vertically, and vice versa. But again, that just people just freaking do this a lot and hope they win. Next, boxing gym. This one's actually pretty good. Each person holds a Joy-Con, and the trainer will say hook, straight, or uppercut. And when they say hook, straight, or uppercut, you have to perform that action. So, hook, you have to do that. Uppercut, you punch upwards. Straight, you punch forwards. And then at the end, he'll just say like release as many punches as you can, and you just go crazy. And at the end, it will replay whoever punched first got the strike. So it'll replay each punch who actually successfully got the won the each punch, and then it tallies up at the end who won, who got more punches, and then who won the match. So that's pretty good. Plate spin is good. You have to spin your plates on a Joy-Con, right? And so stop slowing your spin down or like tilting your Joy-Con is bad. But the weird thing is the video encourages you to mess with your opponent. And that's where the conflict comes in. So like it's encouraging you to physically assault your opponent so that you can win. Because if you both are just sitting there spinning plates, you can do that all day, you know. But it's encouraging you to try to like go over and mess with the other person while not, like, I don't know. The implications are you're like pushing your opponent around. Like it's not good. But the game itself, I guess, is good. If you're okay with your friends pushing you around and you pushing your friends around, then by all means, go for it. Copy dance. You're supposed to, one person makes a dance move and the other person copies it. I don't know how, I mean, it's like you're supposed to mirror it, but I don't know how the game determines copying. So it's bad. You don't understand it. Runway. This one has potential. At the start, you walk at the end of the stage, if you will, and you put your hands on your hips, and then you sashay across where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go back, and then you walk to the center of the stage, and then you start posing. But again, I don't know, like it doesn't give you any indication of why one pose would be better than another. So the sachet is pretty cool because it will show like the sine wave of how you walked, like if you were walking like do, or if you were walking straight. So that's pretty cool. But then of course it asks it, I don't know why one pose is better than another. So it's take the poses out, that'd be pretty cool, but it's iffy. Air guitar sucks. I'm sorry. It like just tells you to play the air guitar, but then it plays a set song. And like I don't know if it expects you to know this song and like play along with it or what. I don't get it. It's just bad. And finally we have Gorilla. Gorilla is a rhythm game where you have to beat your chest. So it'll go like whoo, 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 and you have to go beat, beat, beat. But the problem is, if you actually physically beat your chest, it will sense it, stop the game, and say, hey, don't actually hit your chest, okay? Hit the A button to restart. But when you hit the A button to restart, it doesn't give you any countdown or anything. It just throws you right into the rhythm. And expecting you to pick up your rhythm immediately after being thrown off your rhythm, it's not good. And it's like, okay, if they don't want you beating your chest, like damaging the equipment or whatever, that's fine. But like, it should say that at the start, and like maybe introduce a penalty system if you actually beat your chest. But like, yeah, I don't know. If fix that, and it would be pretty good. Um, so yeah, those are the 28 games. There's also a shuffle mode where you can just pick a random game, and then there's a team battle where you can make two teams, and you figure out who each time you want to represent your team each battle. Um, you face off in a game. Any of the one player game, like Baby isn't there. I don't think Soda is allowed in there as well. But you face off, you play the game, and whoever wins the game, their team gets to spin the spinner, and the spinner determines how many things they move, and then the next game initiates, so on and so forth. But there's a couple interesting catches. There is whenever someone lands on a space, it is grayed out, so a person hops over it. So if you move two spaces, it grays the second space out, and then the next team rolls a two. They'll be the third space because they can't. It doesn't count the space that has already been landed on. And then you could also spin, like just give the spin to your opponent. So the game you play just doesn't even matter. Or you can spin like go back to the start. So that's kind of lame. The team battle, it's like the bare minimum. Yeah, so that's all Nintendo Switch has to offer in terms of gameplay. So of the 28 games, I rated 13 as good, so less than half of them are good even. 8 of them could be good with improvement, and 7 of them are just bad. So like if you improved it, you could get 21 out of 28 good. So and then assume that you just chuck the bad ones, that's 21 good ones. If you went through and fixed everything, and that's it. Like they're really, yeah. I mean, story wise, there's no story. I mean, you highlight a game, it shows you a cinematic between two people. It's kind of cool that they're real people, but it shows you a little cinematic between two people acting goofily, playing the game, explaining the rules so that everybody knows what's going on. The characters are kind of cringy, but hey, whatever. It's Nintendo. Okay. Graphics wise, it's serviceable. It's nice and clean. Like things are responsive. They look fine. It's kind of cool. Like the different games have color motifs. So each game you go into, the room in which they are doing the demonstrations is all they're wearing all purple, and the wall's purple, and there's a purple ball on the floor. That's kind of cool. I like that. But yeah, I mean it's fine. It's mostly live video. The user interface is okay, like easy to understand, whatever. Music, some goofy music, whatever. I mean, it's 1-2 switch. Like it's fine. Um, my conclusion. So like, I mean, 1-2 switch. It's like a nice enough game, but my biggest question is why didn't Nintendo just package it with the Switch, like it did with you know Wii Sports or Nintendo Land? Like it didn't package any games with the Switch, which was very odd initially. And it's $60. Like even like Wii Sports and Nintendo Land, if you buy them separately, is like $20. Even though a Wii game and a Wii U game are like 50 to $60 normally, like respectively. So why charge $60 for it? If it was like 10 or 20, like I could see the justification of just picking it up for kicks, but 60, no. Do not pick this up for $60. I did. It's not good enough. Um, like I said, 13 of the 28 games are good, or actually like competitively good, and won't have you and your friends scratching your heads and wondering what the heck you're doing. So yeah, I give it a 4. Iffy. You should really only get this if you get this on discount and you think you'll be put into situations where you use it, because you can't play this by yourself. You have to get a group of friends that that want to play it or are willing to play it, and chances are, if they want to play this game and they're a fan of video games, they'll probably just want to play Smash Bros or Mario Kart or something. So why play this game? I mean, if you really think that you can run into different because it gets old fast. It gets old fast. So you need to play it with different people. So yeah, I mean, like 4 out of 10. Don't buy it. If you really, I mean, that's what it is. It's a mini game, easy to understand. If you really think that um, you'll be like going to a bunch of different parties, which you shouldn't even right now as of this release because of COVID, like fine, but only if you can get it at a discount. So yeah, very different review from tone of review from my last. But if you like what you saw, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see some of the other stuff I do, check out the links in the description. Those are my other social media. And yeah, everybody have a nice day. Bye.